Welcome to the Managed Services webcast series produced by CA Technologies and for profit. As a reseller, you rely on your vendor not only for products, but for technical, marketing, and sales support. If your business is moving to an MSP model, that support goes away, which presents a host of fundamental implications for your business. For those making this transition or contemplating the prospects, today's webcast will provide practical insights for making this move successful. Today's webcast will be hosted by myself, Ken Vanderweel, and featuring Lane Smith from For Profit. A couple of slides about CA NIMSoft, and then we'll talk a little bit about For Profit, and then we'll get into the meat of the presentation. So NIMSoft's a pioneer in developing IT service management software. Our decades of experience are built into the solutions we bring to market. Our strict focus positioned us to be the first to deliver unified monitoring. That's data center and cloud in a single pane of glass. We were first to meter monitoring usage against cloud usage to enable usage-based billing. First to monitor converged stacks such as vBlock and FlexPod. First to bring full function ITSM as a SaaS-based solution. And first to extend monitoring to data center utility efficiency. And finally, first to deliver a unified service desk and monitoring solution. NIMSoft became part of the CA Technologies organization in March 2010, and the growth trajectory we had prior to that acquisition has persisted, bringing on 531 new customers, and we've added 73% more service provider partners to our partner base. This picture here quickly shows the CA NIMSoft Unified Management Solution, showing full function and fully integrated ITIL-based service desk and monitoring. Our solution is enabling high-value, high-margin service offering for our hundreds of service provider partners. The broad IT coverage shown along the bottom translates well into a rich service catalog for our service provider partners. I'd like to highlight NIMSoft's MSP Center of Excellence program. It's an enablement and advisory resource that's included with NIMSoft software investments. The program is designed to support our MSP partners' business growth. We've built a team of individuals with expertise across managed services business functions. And along the right side of the slide, you'll see the areas where our MSP COE team offers assistance to our MSP partners, such as the development of service catalog, helping with pricing and packaging, contracting, onboarding new customers, service level agreements, marketing collateral, helping an MSP demonstrate their value to their end customer, and probably most important, assisting an MSP in avoiding commoditization. Lane, I'd like to introduce Lane Smith now to talk a little bit about For Profit again before we get into the meat of the presentation. Lane?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ken. So as it says here, For Profit is our goal is to help solution providers find their chosen destination on purpose. We do that through really just our industry expertise. We're a group of ex-CEOs, VP of marketing and services, and we bring years and years of IT channel-focused expertise to the market. We can help you with doing business assessments, ongoing coaching. We do training programs, peer groups, anything and everything you need to help grow your business. For Profit can help you with.
Okay, thanks, Lane. Today, we're going to be talking about resellers moving into the MSP model. As we walk through the presentation, we're going to discuss the differences between a reseller model and the MSP business model. Lane, this is really kind of gets into the meat of the presentation now. There's plenty of content to follow. But to set us up, can you walk us through what it is about the reseller business model that doesn't lend itself well to a managed services business model?
Yeah, Ken. Right there in the name of what we call IT reseller is really the true change there. When you look at what that business model is right now, you typically lead with your vendor brands, whether they be CA or Dell or HP or any of the hundreds of other providers out there. But basically what you're doing is you're leading with their product, you're reselling their product, and you're providing value add around that product. Whereas as you move to that solution provider, managed service provider, you're going to be leading with your product. And that's quite a major shift. It's really is a radical shift throughout your business. It's basically going from selling someone else's services and relying on them to having to build it out internally and relying on just yourself. And as you can imagine, that's going to make impact throughout your whole organization.
Okay, and we're going to underscore that shift in the following slides. We really want to make that clear because that is the most important point. So hey, Lane, do you have an example of a vendor and the work they do to successfully sell their products and services? Because as the title of the presentation said, the managed service provider needs to become a vendor. So maybe you have a good case example of what a service provider could strive to model against.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And we do have, I think, a couple slides ahead of time. But right here, we're talking to CA NIMSOFT in the Center of Excellence. I mean, that's a perfect example of what a vendor's doing to help their partners sell their products, and you're able to rely on the Center of Excellence for a lot of the go-to-market activities that you're going to need. And as a MSP, you're not necessarily going to have those types of options. So let's take a look at nature of your business today. What the vendors are doing for their products versus what you as the IT reseller are doing. So you just kind of drill down the list. You can see vendors, they create a product, right? Whether it's a hardware product or a software product or even a service, right? They define the customer value proposition. They generate brand awareness. They spend money on marketing initiatives. They create programs. They generate leads. Right? They will help the resellers close the leads, and then on the back end, they provide this whole suite of supporting, services and documentation and process to support that product. Whereas where you look at the reseller side, well, you're relying on the vendor to create the product. You're relying on the vendor to create the value proposition for their solution. You're following the vendor's leads. You're working with the vendor to create your marketing initiatives, working with the vendor to help close the opportunities, and you're also looking to the vendor for training, whether it's technical training or sales training. Anytime you need anything around that product, you look to the vendor and say, hey, vendor, I need some help with this product, whether it's servicing it, selling it, billing the product, marketing, whatever it may be. We've always got that vendor there to support you.
Okay. Great contrast between the two. Again, any examples of a vendor that you think is doing it really well, is out there representing their product, representing their services well?
Well, let's take a look at the next slide. Microsoft. Everybody knows Microsoft. You've got the Office 365 product, which is their new cloud service product. And as we take a look at that offering, just from the website, you can see that they've got a plethora of services and offerings designed to help their resellers sell the solution. So just click to that.
So Lane, what exactly do you think? Do you have I think we've included in this presentation a shopping list of what Microsoft is doing well to support as a vendor to support their Office 365 solution suite. So let's move to that. Maybe you can walk us through some of what they're doing.
Yeah, so if you just take a quick snapshot of Office 365, they've got 35 plus case studies, video testimonials. This is going to be, developing case studies is really an afterthought for a lot of resellers, but it's going to be really key when you're becoming a managed service provider, because it's going to help not only build your potential prospects' confidence, but more importantly, your sales force's confidence. As the sales force sees you succeeding selling your product, you're going to be more apt to sell that solution. Going down the list here, you've got, their website alone is, 9 pages, 10 pages long of details on the product. So they've got very extensive, this is what the product is. Here's what it looks like. Here's the features. Here's the benefits. Here's some customer testimonials on it. All of this is supporting the sale of that product, right? They've got pricing calculators. They've got decision tools. So if you're a sales rep out there and you want to sell Office 365, you can just go up to their website and you've just got all this wealth of information right there. We're taking a look at the training. They've got technical training from deployment guides to, virtual labs from the sales training. They've got a full sales certification program for selling cloud services. They've got proposal templates, pricing tools, calculators. Everything that your sales rep's going to need to sell that product can be found by logging into, either going to the public Microsoft site or by logging into the Microsoft portal. That's the type of solution set you're going to need, because when you come out with a product that's branded as your own, they can't just head on over to Microsoft's website anymore. They're going to have to come to you and say, okay, well, we need case studies, we need testimony.
Okay, so Lane, that's an excellent transition when you said that they're going to come to you, they're going to look at your website, they're going to try and find this set of resources to learn about your product, which is going to be your managed service. And I thought to find an organization out there whose product is in fact a managed service. In this case, it's not outsourced IT, but in fact outsourced made services. As strange as it may seem, it didn't take much for me to edit this particular services-centric business website to transform it quickly into a site that could effectively talk to or promote a managed service. So, for example, these are some of the features that you were describing that a reseller who wants to get into the managed service business needs to develop. So, for example, if this were an IT managed services line of business, and this were the website that we're talking to it, you could see where it says Mary Maids on the top, it says relax. I've edited it to say IT is done, and off in the upper left-hand corner it says our services. That's something that you would want to have in the reseller's website that would draw attention to your managed service offerings. This particular site, as I would suggest in a managed service provider's website, provides a link, if you look at the upper right, for a prospect visiting the site to actually get started, to get engaged with the service provider, so that they can kick off some sort of initiative or investigation on an outsourced managed service. If you look at the center, the big banner on the front of this website, it says "We know clean." How easy is it for an MSP to develop a website that says "We know IT"? That's a pretty important statement to make for organizations looking for businesses that will provide those IT outsourcing services. Along the bottom, tips for managing IT. That would be useful for any business to read, to get comfortable with this concept of IT outsourcing. That's the type of content that a service provider could develop, and then develop. That would help develop a rapport with prospects. So it didn't take much. As you can see, how you can take a site like this and model it against a managed IT outsourcing service. I thought that was pretty interesting. And the point of all this is that your managed service is your product, as Lane's been saying. So you need to be like a vendor and bring your service, your product to market. And this is just one part of it, having a storefront that really talks up your strength as a service provider. So Lane, what are you seeing? Are you finding that resellers are acting well enough like vendors?
No, absolutely not. And So that's why we wanted to put on this webinar, right? I think that it's very easy to create some sort of a managed service product and then just go on business as usual. And unfortunately, what happens there is you make this investment in monitoring software and service desk and people and process, and then you go to market like you've always gone to market, and you just fall flat on your face because you don't have that support engine in place that you're used to, right? And typically we'll get you can see through the list here. You'll get a marketing slick that was given to you by by NIMSoft or by your provider that you put your logo on. You've got a contract that looks like a proposal, and you've gotten that from one of the vendors as well. Stamped your logo on there. You really don't have any training program for your salespeople. No case studies, no customer testimonials. You might have a pricing tool, but if you do, it's fairly rudimentary. Haven't identified any experts in the business for your sales force to go to, and almost always not seeing any major marketing initiatives around it. So you're not generating any leads. So as you can see on the slide, what's that equal? That's really no sales success, and it's really a recipe for failure, right?
Right. So the punchline here is through all this, and we're going to continue to build from this point to explain how to kind of get to this vendor centric business model, is that the reseller now has to put that vendor hat on, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It's time to put your vendor hat on. Right? You're no longer selling somebody else's product. You may be selling their product, but you're no longer leading with that product, right? You're now, the core offering is a product that you've developed. It's a service offering around your teams, around your product sets, around your processes, and you need to sell your value and build around that, right? And you really have to take that mindset from, okay, we've got somebody else's product we're going to go ahead and sell, to we've created our product. What all does that look like? And that's what we're going to talk about here in a minute, right? So there you go, time to put your vendor hat on. So moving forward, this is what you're going to look like tomorrow. You've moved from an IT reseller to you're a service provider, right, or a solution provider. You're providing your services as well as the vendor services still, right? You're still including CA Technologies products. You're still including Dell products in your offering. But rather than leading with their products and trying to sell your value add, you're leading with your value and selling the deliverables within that as well. Right?
And this slide flips the slide that we saw that looked like this earlier, where it was the vendor on the left and the reseller on the right. Now what we've done is we've put the reseller with their service provider line of business on the left and the vendor on the right. And if Lane, if you could talk us through what these differences are now of becoming a service provider.
Sure. Well, now, like Ken said, you as the service provider on the left there, you've assumed the role of the vendor, and the vendor is really assuming the role of the supporting partner. So whereas before the vendor was the product and you were supporting them, we switched that around. So now you're creating a product offering, and the vendor is providing products within that offering that are supporting your overall solution, right? You've created that value proposition, whereas the vendor's products help build that value proposition, but they aren't the value proposition, right? You've created your brand awareness. Well, the vendor is still creating their brand awareness as well, and you can rely on that to say, our products are built around, the CA Technologies product suite. Certainly add credibility to your solution, but it's not where you're leading. You're not leading with that solution anymore, right? Now you've got to create and invest in marketing programs, because the vendors are no longer going to provide those leads for you. That doesn't mean to say you're not going to rely on them to help you with your marketing programs, but you're going to need to create those programs yourself. You're going to need to generate your own leads. And yet, of course, look to your partners, see if we can still get those MDF funds and help with programs, but it's going to be a program led by you, right? Now, as far as closing your deal, you're going to need to close the opportunities yourself. So that means you're going to have to build a service process that helps your sales force close opportunities. You're going to have to build that support structure around your team, from sales training, product training, right? You still have a product, right? It's your service offering, though, that's the product. So you're going to have to train your sales force. You're going to have to train your technical teams, right? You're going to have to build out all of that collateral from your service proposal to the leave behinds. You've got to update that website, right? It's got to look and feel like you. You've got to create your pricing. You've got to identify your margins. There's no vendor talking about, well, here's the list price, and we're going to give you X% off list. You've got to create the list price.
So Lane, for an organization that's never made a big transition like this before, how do you manage through all of this without feeling completely overwhelmed?
Well, if you look at a typical reseller, you're good at projects, right? You might even have a full project management team. Treat this like a project, right? So right here, how do you become a vendor? We've got six core steps on what to do. Develop an MSP task force to help you launch the offering. We're going to develop your offering. We're going to productize it. So once you've created the offering, we're going to turn it into a product, and that involves putting all the collateral, the sales training, and everything that we just talked about. You're going to start to build your brand. You're going to generate your own leads by developing a marketing campaign. And then you're going to continuously improve. And the reason why I put continuously improve there is I think that our industry, we've got a lot of very technical people. Technical people like to have things just 100% perfect the first time, and you put your stamp, we're done, we don't have to look at it again. Well, that's just never going to be the case again, right? You've got a product, every single product out there on the market right now, version 1.0 is quickly replaced by version 1.1 and then 2.0 and 3.0. So just realize you're going to constantly be redoing this every time. You're going to create your product. You're going to make it better.
Right. So
the cycle continuously.
Right. So what you've done essentially is taken all that's involved and put it into very distinct, manageable categories. So what we're going to do next is we're going to walk through each one of these categories and help you understand what's involved. So Lane, if you could walk us through the first, and you said that we need to develop an MSP task force. Could you tell us a little bit about what this is?
Sure. Well, MSP Task Force is really the group of people within your organization that are going to help you at the beginning. They're going to help you create the service offering. And then they're going to help you get your first initial sales out there. And from that point, they're going to make a transition into, they're going to be sort of I call it, your channel account managers for your internal organization, right? They're now the vendor to your organization. So when your sales force is out there selling the service and they need support, they're going to be able to call up the MSP task force and say, hey, we've got this opportunity. We need your help. They're going to come in, help that sales force. They're going to train the sales force to help the sales force grow and ultimately become the people that your business leans on, right?
Right. So this is the team that's going to help get this managed service business off the ground. Lane, question to you: Do companies develop their task force with existing team members, or do they often go out and hire specialists in each of these areas?
It depends on the size of the organization. I think it's a little bit of both. Typically, obviously I'm a consultant, so I'll work with teams where I come in as a consultant. I'm the expert, and then we'll make up a team of, their top engineers, one of their top pre-sales people, one of their more service-minded sales team members, and kind of get a mix of the whole organization. I have seen quite a few organizations bring in, somebody that's an expert, hire an expert right out of the gate and get going. And to be honest, I might want to caution against that because without really knowing your company and your core of what you do best and how you sell and what your demographics as far as customers concerned, you might end up with an offering that doesn't quite fit with who you are and who you serve. So you definitely want to have as much internal resources as possible.
Right. So if an organization has an individual that possesses strength in each one of these categories, sales, service, marketing, finance, operation, they may leverage external resources like for-profit or the CA NIMSoft MSP Center of Excellence to work with them to help them apply that strength, but in the context of this managed service business. Is that a fair statement? That's a potential leverage point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now,
okay.
The way you said it, though, was one person with all these skills. And,
no, I wasn't suggesting that.
Oh, okay.
I was saying that you may single out individuals that
Absolutely.
have sales strength and service strength, and or someone that is a marketing, and if they have strength in these categories, equipping them with kind of or assisting them take those strengths and apply them in the context of a managed service business could be a way forward.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So the net is, as I'm seeing it in this slide, is that the task force operates in two key capacities. One, it looks like developing the product and service, and then two, leading the charge and selling the product. Lane, could you talk us through these two areas?
Well, developing the product and service, if you've got the slice across from sales to finance and operational support, you really need all of those experts within the organization to create that offering, right? You can't determine what your cost structure is without understanding, the finance side of your business. And alternatively, you can't determine what, your ideal customer is going to be without involving the sales force that's out there all the time, right? So that's at first. That's why you get the cross of the whole organization in there to help to develop that product. Moving forward from supporting the offering, it really falls more on the sales-focused team members, right? They're going to be the initial group that gets out there and starts selling. And there's a lot of ways you can take that. In fact, I was talking with a client last week. I was out on site with them, and we're working on this task force right now with them, and trying to decide what their launch strategy is for their entire sales force. Right? We have two members of the sales team are on the task force, and what we're having here is, now that we're talking managed services, all the sales reps have opportunities coming in already, right? Because they're fired up about it. They're excited to start selling. But what's happening is they're all coming at it from a different way, and what that's resulting is they're losing opportunities because they're not properly trained. They don't know exactly what the product should be. So we've decided to take this task force members and say, tell the entire sales force that, look, from now until we tell you otherwise, any managed service opportunity you've got to bring in a sales task force member. They're going to come in. They're going to help you create the solution. They're going to help you create the customer value prop. And ultimately, they're going to share the commissions with you, but you're going to give them those commissions because they're going to help you close that deal.
Sounds good.
Versus lose that deal, right?
Right. So as the MSP task force is charged with defining and developing the product service, the managed service, what exactly goes into developing the service?
Well, that's a whole other presentation, I think, right? But just to kind of to touch on it a little bit, I think ultimately they've got to determine, what the service is. This slide's an excellent slide that talks to quite a few different topics, but ultimately they're going to determine what the service is, what your offering is, and more importantly, what the value to the customer is. And this is really a good example of almost an elevator pitch of what managed services is. You know, if you kind of use it in the context of that elevator pitch, someone asks, you know, well, what do you do? Well, we provide, you know, managed services to our customers. And okay, well, great. How do you do that? Well, we come in, we assess the customer's environment, we stabilize and secure their environment, we monitor and manage that, and we provide 24/7 support to all their employees. And ultimately, that helps the customer increase their productivity and profitability, right? So you can see here we've got a clear service offering, we've got a clear value statement, and at this point now we've got that high level, okay, this is the high level what our offering looks like. Now we need to build out the nitty-gritty of what it is. Right?
And that's very interesting, Lane, because, you know, to me, a clear definition of the services is pretty foundational to the business. You know, ultimately, it sets up, it's a leverage point for all other business functions and the activities that they do, such as operations works off of it, marketing and sales can work off of this clear service definition. The customer success team is clear on a service definition and what's developed. That's a fair statement, correct? And ultimately, it's pretty foundational. This definition of the service and the value to the customer.
Absolutely, and this is something that your entire organization should be able to bounce off their lips right away, right?
Right.
Anytime anybody says, "What do you guys do?" Well, we're no longer reselling products. Here's what we do.
So this particular slide talks to the task of defining the service and the value to the customer. Let's assume that it's been defined. What next? Here, what exactly does it mean to quote unquote productize your service? Right.
Well, I think that a lot of resellers have no problem defining the service. Right? There's plenty of tools out there to tell you what a managed service should look like. It's got some level of monitoring. It's got some level of remote management, level of remote hands-on troubleshooting. Right? There's a proactive component. Very easy to define what that's going to look like. It's not quite so easy to productize it, really turn it into something that can not only scale and grow with your business, but that your sales force can actually understand how to sell it and successfully get out there and sell and support that solution. So that's really why you need to productize that offering. And this, I think, is where a lot of people are missing it, right? With the slide we showed earlier, their productizing is, a marketing slick, a page on the website, and a generic contract that's pulled from one of the vendors, and stamp, they're done, they productize it, they go out there, have limited sales success.
So Lane, in order to work through this migration, you really need to think through the activities and categories and track your progress. In essence, to be successful, it really needs to be a formal project. Can you talk us through these quote-unquote productizing categories that need to be managed in a very project management-centric fashion?
Sure. Well, it can be broken out into typical categories within your business. General info. One of the things that we've got here is a business plan. I don't talk to a lot of people that have written a business plan for their managed service practice. And that's really a recipe for failure as well. If you don't have a plan on where you're going, how are you going to get there, right? So the first thing you should start off with, put a business plan together. It doesn't need to be 50 pages. We talk in our white papers. We've got the one-page business plan, right? What do you want to be? How are you going to get there? What type of revenue do you want to be at? What customers you're going to focus on, and go from there. The rest of the sections area, we've got sales and marketing. This is where your sales processes are going to be. This is where your marketing plan is going to be. This is where all that supporting collateral, you're going to find that, finance and legal, service contracts, billing processes, licensing, technology, what's your infrastructure look like, how's it going to scale, how you're going to handle disasters, service processes. This is really the core. We talk in one of our other webinars, developing your core offerings. That's really all around service process and what those are going to be. And then ultimately, finally, a pilot program. I think everybody's familiar with, we use Microsoft as an example, but Microsoft will do, beta releases, and they'll do several, RTM versions before they actually go out with the real product. Well, you're going to put your vendor hat on, you're creating your own product, you're going to have to create pilot programs as well. So let's take a look at...
And Lane, to manage through each one of these categories, you advise the working through a checklist, and this is just the first few lines of a checklist that allows the management or the managing of progress through each one of these tasks across each one of these categories. Correct? And we're going to show the audience a developing set of checklists here showing progress in the coming slides. But what's your advice around this checklist approach?
Well, I think it's real simple. I think people tend to overthink things. Put together large, project plans, and so what we've done is we created a checklist in Excel, and it goes over each one of these areas. So you can see here's just the subsets from the sales and marketing. So, okay, what's our unique value prop? What's our market opportunity? What's the vertical market opportunity, elevator pitch, et cetera? And this goes through every single category that we just went through: sales and marketing, finance, legal, et cetera, right? As you can see, what we've got here now is we've got a color scheme. I'm personally a very visual person. So the way we've got this set up is you can come in and score yourself based on where you're at with your product. So if you're going from 0 to a new product, everything's going to be red because you've got nothing done. But at this stage, I think that a lot of the people listening here are already selling some sort of managed services offering. So what you got here is you can use this as sort of a self-evaluation. Come through here, score yourself 1 through 10, right? So 10 means you are green, all things go, you're jamming. 1 means you've really got a problem there. So you can go through, use this as a self-assessment, and from that you can get a good, clean visual on anything that's not green. That's what you've got to work on first within your organization, which should take us to the next slide, which is really creating your project plan. Right? So you go through, score yourself, give yourself that self-assessment, identify the areas in each of your departments, whether it's sales and marketing or technology or service delivery, and start to create your project plan. Right? And again, here this is just an Excel-based project plan. I mean, if you want to use the Microsoft project, that's obviously excellent as well. So what I found is just kind of you tie this into your checklist, and this makes it very succinct. Okay, here's the 2 tasks that Jerry's got to handle, Beth's got 3, and et cetera. We're going to start knocking these out. So ultimately, you tie back to that checklist. You're trying to get to that all green, right? And once you've got through where 90% of your sections here are in the green zone, now you've got a product that's about ready, time to hit the pilot phase, get out there, start testing it with some customers, start to get those customer testimonials, and finalize that productization of the product, right?
So Lane, upon completion of the tasks in the checklist and the project plan, the MSP should start to look more like a vendor, right?
Absolutely, right? So you're thinking like a vendor. You've got taking your MSP task force. They weren't experts when they started, but they were a good slice of your organization. So you've got an expert team that can now your sales force can lean on, your marketing team can lean on, because they are, all things that are your service offering. You can rely on that team. You've got a full marketing initiative going now. You've got sales process in place. Not only do you have the process, but your team has created, through the use of your checklist, created all of your collateral. So they've got case studies, they've got customer testimonials, you've got a proposal templates, you've got all your features and benefits, everything's done. Your sales force, all they need to do is understand what that original value prop is, use that to help them identify an opportunity, and they know that they can feel comfortable that anything else they need, they're going to be able to rely on you to provide that for them.
Okay, what a dramatic transformation from earlier in the deck to being very reseller-centric to this point where you've worked through this full project, attended to the items in the checklist, managed the project effectively, and reached the point where you're really in a position to bring your new managed service to market. There still is the question of generating demand once the service is productized. So as we know in the reseller business, or as you described, Lane, leads are largely supported by the vendor. Maybe you can validate that or offer clarity around that, but it's important to underscore that this responsibility of demand gen now falls on the service provider, correct?
It's absolutely. So, it's time to put your marketing hat on. As you can see here, we've got some webinars that talk to creating a marketing plan, and we also have one that talks to actually the selling process, what you need to do to develop your sales team, as well as a proven solution selling process that we can help you integrate into your business. But again, the reality is nobody is out there generating leads for you anymore. It's time for you to start generating your own business.
Right. Okay. So what's next, Lane? Once all the tasks are completed and you have a demand gen program in place, does this mean that you're done?
Yeah, no, like I said, you're never done, right? I kind of look at life as drafts, right? You get draft 1 done, you start moving forward. You get draft 2 done, you have draft 3. You're never quite done with your service delivery because there's always going to be room for improvement. You're going to always find a little bit more efficiencies in your services organization that's going to ultimately help increase your profitability. You can always improve your marketing, always improve that sales process and your sales force. Just keep moving forward, continue to excel, and you're going to see a lot of success.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'd like to thank you, Lane, and Lane Smith and For Profit for bringing this very guiding content to our audience. I'd also like to thank the listener, those that have tuned into this webcast to gather this knowledge, and hope that you can put this in place to advance your business. I wanted to say that this is a first in a comprehensive set of webcasts that will cover a range of critical factors involved in establishing a successful MSP business. So these webcasts and this entire series is produced by CA Technologies and For Profit. The series will cover everything from opportunities available to MSPs today to the steps needed to capitalize on them, including establishing a plan, developing a service delivery model, marketing and selling your services, and scaling your business. So, do stay tuned in to the series. How can you stay connected with us? Here, CA NIMSoft, I strongly encourage you to pay visit to the service provider microsite on the NIMSoft website. It's called the MSP Zone. You can get there by going to www.nimsoft.com/MSP You can, of course, visit For Profit at their business website, for-profit.com. And each one of our organizations have a number of ways for you to socialize with us through the various channels that we've employed. I will conclude the session, and again say thanks to you, the audience tuning in, and Lane, thank you, and For Profit for bringing this education to our listeners.
Yeah, you're welcome, Ken, and thanks for having us.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll close down this particular webcast today, and we look forward to having you on future webcasts. Goodbye.